Hello everybody, it's your friendly digital technology librarian, Christy here. We've reached another Friday, so of course I have another Film Rec Friday ready for everybody out there. Now, April was formerly called Autism Awareness Month, but in 2021, the Autism Society of America asked that media make a designation shift to Autism Acceptance Month. Now, that probably seems like a pretty subtle shift, but it's actually an incredibly important one. Christopher Banks, the CEO of the Autism Society of America, actually described it as awareness is simply being a state of knowing that someone has autism, whereas acceptance is when you include a person with autism in your activities. You help him or her to develop in that community and get the sense of connection to other people. Now, that to me indicates that shift is giving people individual agency. And I think we all know how incredibly vital individual agency is. So I've put together just a couple of films that I thought were really accessible and that really told stories featuring characters with autism in a way that is incredibly relatable. Regardless of how you are looking at the film, whether you're just looking for a good, well-written movie, or if you're looking for a movie that depicts autism in a believable way, or any of the things that you normally look for in a film, like it just simply being an entertaining film to watch. So these couple films I think are really, really excellent, and I hope that they speak to you. If they don't, as always, there are thousands and thousands of films available on our streaming video services. They are all available entirely for free with the use of your Milan-Berlin library card. Those services are CleveNet's Overdrive, Hoopla Digital, and Canopy. And without any further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and jump into the recs. Thanks. Okay, both of my recommendations for today are available on Hoopla Digital, and the first of those is the 2018 film Please Stand By. I loved this movie. I'm so glad that I watched. I had no idea that it even existed. It was nowhere on my radar, but it really is an incredibly entertaining film. So in Please Stand By, we are following a young woman named Wendy. Wendy is played by Dakota Fanning, always a reliable young actress. She is fiercely independent. She's brilliant. She also happens to be a massive Star Trek fan. So for me, very, very much a character that I can relate to right away. Wendy also happens to have autism. She, when we meet her, is living in a group home, but ultimately her goal is to move in with her sister, played by Alice Eve, who has just had a baby. Now, for reasons, that becomes something that's going to be quite difficult. So in order to prove that she can, in fact, live with her sister, be a help to her sister who has this newborn baby, she decides to go on this quest. It's a little bit ridiculous. Most quest movies, frankly, are. And I was so thoroughly engaged the entire journey that I just, it's been a while since I've liked a movie this much and found it so relatable. So this quest is prompted by a contest that is being given in LA to fans of Star Trek. They are to write a script sort of celebrating the best things of Star Trek. And Wendy's intention is to enter like you do, except she misses the send-in date. So to prove that she can be reliable, that she is able to function on her own, that she is totally capable of helping her sister, she decides to make her way by herself to LA and physically turn in this script. Unsurprisingly, things happen, and it becomes this comedy of errors. There's just a lot going on. And what I really did love about this film is that while parts of it are super fantastic, and I guess fantastical rather, and there are elements of total realism, absolutely believable. And little bits that were super funny in the way that they're totally an everyday normal circumstance. There were also moments that totally spoke to me as a person who's very invested in fandom. So this is in the trailer, so it's not really a spoiler at all. At one point in the film, Wendy is sort of, how do you say this without, she ends up in a bit of trouble, and she's only able to be coaxed into being assisted by the police when one of the police officers starts speaking to her. The other police officer has no idea what this language is. The two are having this dialogue, Wendy and this other officer, and then his partner turns and is like, "What language are you speaking?" And he's like, "It's Klingon." I just kind of, it's again not like something you would normally find, but as someone who's invested in fandom, I loved that the writer included something like that. I don't, because again, it makes these characters super relatable to you. There are really hard to watch moments in this, and there are really beautiful and lovely moments. It's a comedy, drama, coming of age tale, family story. It really hits a lot of buttons, but not in the way of those films that are trying to add too much to something. It's just the way the story worked out. It's funny, it's sad, it's heartwarming, it's all of these things just because that's the way the story unfolds. Um, and at the end of the day, this film really is about Wendy's incredibly independent nature and her willingness to do whatever it takes to show how much she wants to be with this sister, how much she wants to be a part of a family. And it's just really, really a lovely, lovely story. Performances across the board, amazing. Again, Dakota Fanning, always reliable. You have characters played by Alice Eve. You have Toni Collette, who is phenomenal in pretty much everything I don't think I've seen her in a single dud role. Patton Oswalt plays a small role. He is in fact the police officer who can speak Klingon. And a few other familiar faces as far as character actors go. It has a really fine ensemble of performers, but at the heart of it is Dakota Fanning as Wendy, and I do think that she does an incredible job with the role. So if you're looking for something that is funny, that can be relatable, if you happen to be someone who is a fan of anything kind of geeky, if you were a Star Trek fan, especially if you like Star Wars, anything like that, this would definitely speak to you. If you like family dramas, this is really lovely. If you just like quest films, again, the quest that she goes on is really, really pretty awesome. And the things that she does, I cannot recommend this one enough. Excellent, excellent film. Again, please stand by, available on Hoopla. Okay, as mentioned, my other recommendation for this week is also available on Hoopla Digital, and that is for 2012's The Story of Luke. Now, The Story of Luke tells the tale of a young man, Luke. He's mid-20s, I would say. He has lived an incredibly, incredibly sheltered life with his grandmother and grandfather, and then his entire world turns upside down when his grandmother passes. Luke and his grandfather get shipped off with some relatives, and very, very quickly after that, his grandfather is sent to a retirement home. This leaves Luke quite unmoored. His relatives that he's with are not equipped to deal with him, or frankly, anyone. There's some serious dysfunction going on with those people, one of whom is played by Cary Elwes. I love Cary Elwes. I have always loved Cary Elwes, and he does a great job with his character, who at the beginning is definitely a blowhard, and then by the end of the film is slightly less of a blowhard. Anyway, he plays a challenging character. Anyway, again, Luke is living with them, but essentially kind of adrift. He ends up focusing on one of the last things that his grandfather tells him to do, and that is get a job, find a girl, live your own life. He makes this his entire purpose in being. And since Luke does have autism, he has some difficulties in figuring out how he wants to go about fulfilling this challenge. Um, there are definitely elements of the movie that are really, really funny. There are moments that will 100% make you incredibly uncomfortable. And there are also 100% moments that will make you just kind of want to, I don't know, give Luke a hug, because there's a lot of difficulty. That said, there are tons of absolutely laugh out loud moments where the people surrounding him are just so utterly ludicrous. But they're also people that any one of us could run into, or archetypes that any of us could run into. At the very beginning of this film, I will say this movie is unbelievably tough to watch. Luke seems more of a caricature of a person with autism than an actual person with autism. But as we go through the film, it's like the point of view shifts. It's almost like when we're starting the movie, we're viewing it through the eyes of someone who has no familiarity with anybody with autism. And as you go through, things become much more realistic. They're much less sort of those twee little quirky moments. And I really kind of liked that about it. It was tough, again, at the beginning, because I'm just like, what is this? This is just kind of ludicrous, but you keep going, and I think the way the film is made is supposed to also illustrate a point of view shift. I think that's part of the whole film. I think that's part of the point of the movie, is that sort of viewpoint adjusting itself. Regardless of that viewpoint adjusting itself, there's still an absolutely repugnant character played by Seth Green. He's supposed to be horrible, but like, good Lord. He's very hard to watch. And this is from a big fan of Seth Green. To watch him interact with Luke and to see how much difficulty Luke has dealing with this other young man. There are quite a few scenes with them, and I do like that Seth Green's character also shifts as well, and I think that's part of, again, the film point of view and point in general, but it's still hard. Every time he's on screen, I'm just like, oh, should I fast forward through this? And again, that's not an indication of the movie being bad. It's just an indication of that character being so hard to deal with. And yeah, I think it's also, it says a lot about the fact that Green is fully invested in that character and making him as difficult to like as humanly possible. And he's supposed to be. It's not that he's not supposed to be. It's just, again, character is a challenge. Luke, however, he's more and more relatable as you go on. You want to see him be able to do the things he wants to do. You want to see him succeed. You want to see him excel at these things. And there are these little pockets that are absolutely beautiful when it all just kind of clicks. And I think, if for no other reason than those scenes, this makes it 100% worth watching. There's this one in particular where he's able to help one of his relatives who is trying to cook dinner, and things just seem to be falling apart for her. One of the things that he has an incredible affinity for is cooking these meals that he learned how to cook off of one of the food channels. And he's able to help her, and it's like this switch is clicked for her, where she sees that Luke is somebody that she can relate to and that she can connect to, and And it really is quite a beautiful moment, I think. And like I said, those small scenes, those little quiet moments are the ones that really got to me the most. You know, it wasn't even like the big laugh out loud moments or like the cacophony of him first getting a job, which it was those scenes are ridiculous and crazy and something else. But those quiet little scenes where he's just beginning to relate to the people in his life, those are so lovely. And I really, really did enjoy those aspects of the film. So if you're looking for something, if you're not afraid of a film that's definitely a little bit challenging, if you're looking for something that's both funny and dramatic, that has a broad range of kind of characters, that has really well acted performances, like I said, Seth Green, Carrie Elwes, it's this is one that I think a lot of people will really enjoy. So again, 2012's The Story of Luke, available on Hoopla Digital. So I know it was a pretty short week this week, but I really, really did love the films that I recommended. If you have other movies that you would like to recommend to viewers, please comment and put those below. If you have any recommendations for future themes, comment with those as well. I definitely would appreciate that. As always, thank you, thank you, thank you for watching. I absolutely adore putting together recommendation lists, and these particular films, both of which I'd never even heard of before, were really, really fabulous watches. So again, thank you for joining me, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.